Hello everyone, Shen here. I'm back, and I thought I would actually have some tea this time, for tea for Shen. Have tea with Shen without tea, right? Anyway, today I thought I would go through my little grab box of cool boxes that I've made with my laser. And let's see, kind of starting off, when I was first making these little laser boxes, I had this idea for that I wanted to make boxes that could hold a tarot deck and be, you know, kind of unique, sacred maybe even. And so this first one, actually I made some, the very first ones I made were small boxes for kind of a tiny deck that I had. And but this Osiris image was one of the first ones that I did with the papyrus design around it. But with these boxes, you know, I was looking online and there's all these kind of cheap little Chinese boxes that were more square, you know, and they have the lid and they open up with the metal hinges, and they have like a little clasp on them. And so I wanted to do something kind of like that, but then in a way I didn't like the idea of having to go buy hinges somewhere in the little clasp, because, you know, if you're into crafting, whenever you go do that, then you find out that the hinges and the clasp, they want so much for those that it makes it so you can't make a profit on making a box. You know, because they want so much for just the pieces to put it together, let alone the wood and cutting it out and everything. But I was able to find a laser online about, it's probably been 5 years now. And, you know, I was looking at all these different engravers and different things, because I know I wanted to do something crafty. And, you know, when I looked in the engravers, I found out that they were very expensive, $5,000 to $10,000. And half the time, if you didn't set up the engraver just right, you would destroy the engraving head on it. And so, and those run hundreds of dollars. And so I was thinking, well, how can you make a profit making cool items if every so often you have to replace, you know, an engraving head? That's that expensive, you know. So so that kind of made me look into lasers. And of course, you know, there's the cheap ass, you know, glow forge out there that I think's basically a piece of junk, you know, or when it first came out it was, the models that first came out. And now I notice that they are starting to put more of a powerful CO2 laser in there, and they are, you know, getting a little bit better, you know. But I bought an Epilog Mini 18 laser, and it is industrial enough that you do need to have a dust fan connected to it, you know, a big industrial fan, and then that helps kind of suck away all the wood that's been vaporized by the laser as it goes back and forth, right? And I wanted something that could do an image into different materials as well as cut different materials. And so, of course, the Epilog laser's good to do both of those. And so anyway, my first projects were, you know, to make little boxes. And so I came up with this idea that instead of having the metal hinges, that I would, I'll open this one really quick. Just unwrap it. It's Christmas early. But I found that, you know, I'd rather make something with slots that could, you know, where the lid could actually, see if I can get this one open, get a little sticky from the coating I put on them. But I made the lid with slots in it. So I don't know if you can see that, but it's got the little slots. And so then that way it could actually go over the sides of the box, right? The little, and fit snugly, right? And so then the only other problem was, well, how do I keep the lid on when somebody turns it, right? First I had a rubber band, but then I came up with this little latch idea with the wooden, I call them pins, locking pins. And so that actually worked out really well to be able to latch and close the lid. And it gives it almost kind of an ancient look, like a medieval look, which turned out really nice. And so I made quite a few of these just rectangular boxes, right? Different sizes with all different designs. And another use that I had a friend that basically wanted a box for a Bible, right? And so I made some that were actually quite a bit bigger with, biblical themes, engraved on them. And even some for my Mormon family that had Joseph Smith and the Nauvoo Temple and the golden plates, and Mormon themed ideas for a Book of Mormon box, right? And what kind of another thing that gave me the idea for the little pins was old pictures of the golden plates that you see from the Mormon history, and it's like a whole bunch of plates that had a metal pin that, like a big paper clip or something, big clip that went through them and held them together. And so in a way, that's kind of what these these boxes look like. But this is one of my little Osiris boxes, and this is for a larger tarot deck, like the Thoth deck, or a tarot deck that's wrapped in cloth, right? And then on the inside of the box, this one was one of the first ones that I made, so I had my little logo on there. And the box is basically just empty, right? But on future boxes, and I started making really neat designs on the inside of the box, because I kind of figured, well, if the box is a sacred place, a sacred vessel to hold your cards or your magical items, your crystals or whatnot, then I thought, well, it'd be really neat to do the inside. So it's really neat. So this is a couple years later, I started making all these different shapes. At first a 5-sided shape, and then 6-sided and 7-sided and 9-sided, all these different shapes of boxes. And then, so not only did I have some that had more just the square shape or the straight, flat shapes, but I also started doing kind of these cool little cut designs, right? And this is one of the Enochian boxes. It has a Sigillum de Ameth, which is, a sacred symbol of God's truth, which contains the names of myriads of angels locked into it, right? And then on the sides, I did these kind of cool Enochian little panels with the seals of the watchtowers and the golden talisman. And this is another little Enochian sigil. And then again, I went with this same idea of having these locking pins that kind of open up. And then I decided, yeah, I'll decorate the inside, and kind of turn it into like almost like a little temple or holy place. So then you can put your cards inside of there, or your divination tools, your set of bones, or whatever it is you decide to have in there. And then of course I made the lid so it would slide back snugly on there. And again, the locking pins that lock shut. And so these are just two of my boxes that I made, and I'll make another little video with more. I have tons and tons of boxes, but I had them on my Etsy for quite a while, and I'd sell one once in a while. And but what I found is that I put so much time into these that I was only making like $8 an hour or something, you know, just a really small amount that almost wasn't worth it, you know. I mean, it's a labor of love to make these. And so I actually doubled the price on these, and I started getting that on my Etsy, but I still really didn't have much time to do these. And so that's why I've been kind of focusing more on the necklaces, because they're, you know, talismans and amulets too, and that they're powerful, and they don't take me near the amount of time, so I can still do all my other things, you know, the Kung Fu and the Reiki and taking care of my parents. But I will make more boxes as time goes on, you know, for those people who really, really want one. And just to kind of show you really quick, I started also making book boxes, which are boxes that hold journals or sketchbooks or even important or sacred books that you may have, you know. And I can even do on the outside an illustration from the book, you know. If you have, say, a book by a master that like Kiro that did palmistry, you know, then I could actually do the language of the hand and make a book box for it. And then, of course, you know, with the laser, I can also make plaques. And so I made these little stelae of revealing plaques, and with the front and the back side. And, of course, with the book boxes, and there's a smaller size that I can also make. And so this holds like a 6x9, either book or little journal. Right. And let's see what else I have hiding in here. I have a couple of Celtic boxes, and this one is kind of like a little tarot box here. But instead of keeping the sides solid and doing engraving, I actually did cuts on the inside the knotwork on these, and so you can actually see into the box, which is really kind of neat. And again, that one's more rectangular, and then I made this big Celtic 5-sided box here. And of course, instead of just the 5 sides, I decided to make kind of these cool cut shapes. And this one has the Celtic lovers on it, and a Celtic spiral, and then on the inside it's even decorated as well. And it has the cutouts of the knotwork. So usually a box like this I sell for about $200 because I have so much time that I've had to put into it. And then, see, here's a 5-sided box that's a little more normal shaped, right? This one is has a tree of life. It's more of a Kabbalah theme, and then it has some Solomonic symbols. And that one's a fun box. And another version of that one, but this one's just small, and it has some of the same themes, Solomonic magic. And then lastly, you know, another rectangular box with Horus and Khepri or Khepra, a little scarab beetle god. You know, these Egyptian ones, I just love them because it's such a classic theme, and they're just beautiful. You know, these turned out really neat with I do a urethane coating on the wood, and it gives them almost like a metallic sheen, almost like they look bronze or brass. And of course they just feel good to touch, and then you don't have to worry about spilling anything on them or getting them dirty, because they're all protected. So I think that does it for the moment, and I'll make another little video with more of my boxes and necklaces. So thanks again for joining me for another little tea with Shenn, and we'll see you next time.